Let's crack open a beer and share some thoughts.
Welcome to another Hopinions, and we're back at our Essex recording studio this week.
We are indeed, we're at Liquorice.
We are, and as you can hear, first beer of the evening has just been cracked open. This week we are featuring some beers that were sent to us by Wild Weather Owls, who are based in Reading. So let's get into this first one. Cheers.
Cheers. It smells like a smoothie.
It does. You can definitely smell cherry.
I think you can smell a bit of banana as well, because a lot of smoothies do have banana in them. So this is First Person Fruiter, a cherry and banana sour, which is part of their blend series, and it comes in at 5% in a very, very colourful can. Basically a robot being shot with bananas. I quite like it. There's a lot going on, but I quite like it.
Like I said, their branding is very distinctive, isn't it?
Very colourful.
Yeah.
Definitely very colourful.
Yeah.
So we'll speak a bit more about this beer in a minute. So, but yeah, very banana, very fruit smoothie.
Yeah, I'm definitely getting the cherry. Thankfully, at the moment, I'm not getting a lot of the banana.
Banana, not a flavour you like.
I like bananas in their natural form, in a skin, and in no other format whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Straight into beer adventures this week. So there's no preamble this week. We're just going to go straight in.
Straight in. I think our beer adventures are very similar here, Steve. Last Wednesday, so we were invited to the launch of the Renegade beers, which is the craft arm of West Berkshire Brewery, and thank you very much for inviting us to that. That was at the depot, their London operations over in Islington, and had a really fun evening. Great to catch up with some people while we were over there, and tried the new range. What did you think of them, Steve?
Yeah, they were all okay.
I mean, I thought the West Coast Pale Ale in the can was excellent.
Out of the four, because what was there? There was the West Coast Pale Ale. There was a Session IPA. There was a craft lager, and then there was a Vienna lager as well. Now, for me, like say, probably the one that I enjoyed the most was the West Coast Pale, which was strikingly bitter.
Yeah, and I thought the Session IPA was excellent on draft.
Yes, I had that
on draft.
That was the first beer I had when I walked in there.
On draft, I thought it was excellent actually.
Yeah,
that was a good session. I was about 4.2. I thought the craft lager, and I made my thoughts known about having the word craft on the can, was very clean, very crisp, and would definitely have a mass appeal for people who are looking for an entry level gateway into the world of craft. The Vienna lager had a bit more going on. I thought it was very nice.
A bit more malt in there, a lot sweeter.
Definitely,
wasn't it?
Yeah. But yeah, I thought they were all very good. I mean, again, bit on topic for what we're going to discuss tonight as well.
Yeah.
But aside from that, if you are in the Caledonia Road area, the pub which they have over there, the depot, is a really, really nice venue. Very big, a couple of split levels, some outside area which is still undercover as well. And was part of one of the original omnibus factories in London as well, so a bit of history there. So thanks again, guys. Enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was a really fun evening. It was nice to catch up with quite a few people while we were there as well. So we, listener of the show, Mark Johnson, was down, and it was actually his birthday.
It was his birthday
as well, so it was nice to share a few beers with Mark on his birthday. Pete McCary was there. We bumped into Andrew from Riverman Brews podcast as well, who was there, and Andy Parker was there as well. So.
And what else?
Well, the only other thing that I've done in the last week, which was again with you, was we've recorded the latest Hopinions on Films show, which is our kind of Christmas special. of that little spin.
So where we sat there and watched Die Hard for 2 hours and rabbited on.
Oh, we did, and enjoyed a series of beers.
A selection of beers from beer merchants, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that'll be out in a few weeks for people to listen to. But I can't even say I've had any real standout beers at home this week either.
No, I think in between a few, because we recorded on Monday, then we were out on the Wednesday and recording on the Saturday. I sort of in between, I sort of dialed it down anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we're coming up to quite a busy period with drinking anyway and going out stuff. I just sort of dialed it in a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I had a few beers on Friday night, but nothing, like you say, nothing really stood out.
Yeah, same here.
That's it. You don't, listeners, how happy must you be right now?
We are rattling through this.
Done.
Should we talk a little bit more about the beer then? I mean, I'm still getting. For me, cherry is the dominant flavour.
Yeah, I mean, cherry's definitely more than a banana. I'm getting a little bit of the banana, and I think that's what's giving it a bit of the slightly thicker mouthfeel as well. For me, we're probably potentially drinking it at the wrong time of year as well. So I'd say this is probably more a spring, summer type of drink.
I'd say that.
Rather than the last Monday of November, when we have definitely moved into winter. It's nice. I don't think I could drink many of them.
No, the sourness is quite a sticky sort of sweet tartness rather than sort of mouth puckeringly sour.
It doesn't dry you out. It doesn't make you do that sharp intake, does it?
Yeah, it's
nice. I mean, to coin a phrase, it does do what it says on the side of the tin. But it just, for me, it's or maybe on a hot day.
Getting a little bit more of the banana now.
It's coming through for you, is it?
Yeah.
Is it killing it for you now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm really not a fan of.
Yeah, but like I would say before, I think whenever you pick out an element of a drink, of a beer that you know you don't like, that starts to take over.
Yeah.
You know, for me, that's coconut, some of the weirder herbs that shouldn't be in beer, in my opinion, and those kind of things. Then you just home in on them.
They're there, aren't they?
Yeah, and then they become front and centre. So, but yeah, if that's the kind of thing that floats your boat, it does exactly what it says.
It does, and that's the thing. I mean, let's not almost mark it down for that. It's a cherry and banana sour, and that's exactly what you've got in your glass. Yeah, so points for that in terms of nailing the description.
Yeah, I mean, it says it's a blend series, so I presume this is either some form of seasonal or experimental rather than something that they'd be aiming to put into the core. Do white beer ever have a core?
I'm not sure they do. I think they've got kind of an ever rotating range of beers.
Because all the beers I've had of them, I seem to have just had one. So I had a quick look at Untapped earlier. It seems to be one.
Yeah, no, I think it is very much
an ongoing series. Okay.
Let's get on to the news then.
Excellent.
Shall we? So first up this week is a new beer release. So this is a beer called Downstream, which is the world's first ever blockchain beer. Now, you may be wondering what that means in terms of a blockchain beer. Well, basically, it's 100% traceable in terms of its ingredients and its methods. And this is all done via a unique QR code that's on the bottle. So people can get the bottle, scan it, and they can find out exactly what batch it was, what ingredients went into that batch, how it was brewed, where it was brewed, where it was packaged, and all the rest of it. It will have all of those details available for you by scanning the code on the beer. So Downstream is a hybrid IPL that will be hitting the market in the next week or so. So if people are interested in getting involved in that, it's the guys from Ireland Craft Beers that are behind this. So it is being brewed in Ireland and then brought over to the UK. But it's available from Honest Brew if people want to give that a try. So any thoughts on that?
I mean, the blockchain thing is interesting, and people do have an interest in where their products come from. I'll be interested. For me, it'd be whether the beer's any good.
Yeah, that's kind of, as I was reading it, I was like, this is a great idea, but is the beer any good?
Yeah, I mean, if the beer's a bit pants, then it's no good. If the beer is good and it's got this extra level of information so that people can go for the whole sourcing their beers kind of thing and know exactly what's behind it, everything else, then I think that's excellent.
Next up, some news about the Beer Merchants Blendery, which is It's now got a name. It's the Good Company Blendery. By the time this show goes out, the crowdfunding would have closed, so you would have missed the chance to basically double your money at the bar. But they've announced this week that they're going to be using worts from Wild Beer Co. and Burning Sky, and also Duration once they're all up and running. So they're going to be using that as the basis of the beers that they blend.
Who's Duration?
They are a new. At the moment, they're Cuckoo Brewing, but they're going to be based up in Norfolk. Well, they're going to be doing kind of these wild beers, like the Wild Beer Co. and Burning Sky do as well. So it's great that they're going to be on board.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's great for them as well.
Yeah,
to be involved in this project. I'm really interested to see how this all goes. Even forgetting about the double your money thing, it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
It is, and I mean they've certainly had quite a bit of investment to date. I know we've both invested in it, because that double your money offer was too good to turn down. Yeah. In the end, but yeah, I mean you can only wish them every success with it.
Yeah, definitely. Something different. It was a different type of crowdfunding. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how it all pans out.
Yeah, absolutely. So next up we've got some news from Hawkshead. Agreed to deal with German manufacturer Kroner's to build state-of-the-art new brewery as part of a 3 million two-site brewery expansion. Kroner's will install a turnkey 40-barrel, 6,500 litre rapid batch brew house capable of multiple brews per day on a site in South Cumbria near the existing brewery. The existing brewery at Staveley will continue in production, concentrating on small batch, specialist and limited edition beers. The new brewery will be built on a site owned by the Hawkshead parent company, Howard International. So we're seeing, obviously, some of the fruits of that investment coming out there.
I mean, that's a big expansion.
Yeah.
That's a big investment. Yeah, because we down south where we are, we don't see much Hawkshead.
No, I mean, and they do specialise in cask as well. So cask beer is 65% of their current output.
I know. I'd be quite happy to see more Hawkshead cask beer getting down to London and the south east myself. Yeah. But that is still some money.
It is. It's a huge investment.
Yeah.
So and I think if the result of that is going to be more Hawkshead beer, which clearly it will be, then I think that's only a good thing.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I like Hawkshead. Like I said, the last time I think I had Hawkshead on tap was when we went to the Manchester Beer Festival in January.
Yeah.
That was the last time I got on tap.
Okay, and then while we're talking sort of investments and breweries and money and all the rest of it, I'm trying to make a tentative link between the two here. There's news today of an East Anglian brewery being put up for sale. So no names were mentioned, but within the spec of this sale, it spoke about the brewery has 2 supermarket contracts in place and a staff team of 5 people, and it's currently for sale for the small amount of £30,000.
See, 30 grand sounds cheap to me.
It sounds very cheap.
I mean, you've got your contracts in place, although it doesn't specify how long those contracts have still got to run, which would be a consideration. Premises, I suppose they may only be on lease anyway, so you may not get premises. So are you getting goodwill and brew kit?
And the name?
Yeah.
Whichever that may be.
Well, there is. If anyone knows more, please let us know. Yeah. But in my head, 30,000 just seems...
Doesn't seem like a lot.
Doesn't seem like a lot for a brewery that has supermarket contracts.
No.
So but a bit sad if someone's selling up. It would be a bit sad if it's for any, bad reason or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll find out.
Yes.
Once the sale actually goes through who it is, or I'm sure more news will come out.
And if any of our listeners decide to buy it, let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. So while I was going through that final news item, what's going on? We're flying through.
Yeah, people are like...
It's rocked me a little bit. I don't know what's going on.
The listeners are confused as well.
Yeah.
So I've opened can number 2 from Wild Weather Ales. This is a 5.6 peach sour. I'm a bit more nervous about this one than the first one because I'm not a massive lover of peach unless it comes out of a tin. And it's called Peach of a Weekend. So, cheers.
First thing I'm going to say, it's got a lovely nose on it. You know that's peach.
It's definitely not hiding the peach. It was quite sharp actually.
There's not a lot of sourness to that.
No, it's more dry.
It's more like it's almost like a peach flavoured lager or a peach flavoured pale ale rather than a peach sour.
Yeah, I mean it's not. Like I said, I'm not getting that puckering, but I'm definitely getting dryness at the end.
There's a lot of dryness in there, and that's dried my mouth out straight away.
That has dried mine too. So we'll make our way through this.
We will. And while we're making our way through this,
Hopinions, 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 Hopinions.
This week, on the back of the news that both Twisted Barrel and, maybe more surprisingly, Brew by Numbers are putting beers into cans, we decided to ask the question, in the modern UK beer market, do breweries need their beers in cans to stay in the game? Now, we had 463 votes, so it's quite a lot of votes this week. 70% of those that voted said no, that they don't need to. And then, as always, there were a lot of comments. But before we go into the comments, I do just want to make the point that this was different from the poll that we ran back in September, which asked, is canned beer really better?
Yeah, we were specifically going for, is the product inside of the can better for being in the can?
Yeah,
that was what we were going for the poll back in September, and we wouldn't normally run a poll similar within a short space of time. But again, with Twisted Barrel, and yes, probably maybe more surprising, Brew by Numbers, saying that we're canning, cans are coming out. There'd been no sort of build up to this, at least not what I've seen anyway. We thought it was a good time to ask, do you need to, be on trend? Do you have to put it in cans? Does the vessel have to? Does your range need to involve a can? So rather than talking about, do you need to have your double IPAs, your triple IPAs, and your imperial stouts as well as your core range, don't forget about all of that. Does it need to be in the can?
Yeah. So in particular, we just focus on the Brew by Numbers one at the moment, because the thing that's striking about the Brew by Numbers can is,
I haven't actually looked properly, so if you could pass me the picture.
It's a departure from their normal labelling system.
Oh, isn't it?
Because there's no numbers on it.
No.
For starters, and it's a double dry hopped pale, is it?
Yeah. So it's a DDH pale ale. So it's coming out this week? Is the release?
It's been released on Friday this week.
Okay, so the day after the podcast release.
To coincide with their 5th birthday, yeah.
I mean the design does look quite striking, but the only thing it does not have that so and so / so and so. Yeah,
which is kind of what Brew by Numbers is.
Yeah.
But we reached out to Brew by Numbers and we asked them their reasoning behind it, and Chris Hall from the brewery came back to us. So just to pick out a few points from Chris's email that he sent across. I said cans are something they've always desired, but they've never been in a rush, because as with every aspect of the business, they wanted to do it right. Without a doubt, cans help to sell hoppy beers faster, but it's not as simple as that. So he went on to say that they've tried to stay ahead of the curve, particularly in regard to the East Coast inspired hazy hoppy beers and mixed fermentation projects, but they weren't interested in the mobile or contract canning to get the beer into cans faster, purely for the sake of it. So what they did is they've looked at the solution that works best for them, and basically they're going to be brewing the beer at Brew by Numbers and then shipping it in a tank to Forpure, who are then canning it for them.
Do you know what I was going to say? Is it going to Forpure, because their canning line is awesome.
So literally, less than a mile down the road?
Yeah, it's about a mile.
Yeah. Which obviously keeps it fairly local as well. Yeah. It means it hasn't really left the brewery and gone too far. The motivation to make sure it was this beer that went into a can first was that it's something special, and they wanted it to stand out, what with it being the 5th anniversary, and it's allowed them to apply everything they've learned from trips to the States and collaborations with brewers there. They're hoping it's a reflection of where they are now, and in the period between announcing the cans on Friday last week and tonight as we record, they've sold nearly 300 cases of the cans. So they're excited to get their beer to people fresher than ever before.
That is exciting news. I love the fact that they're working with Forpure to get the job done.
When I read that, I was like, I didn't even think of that.
When you said they were going to package it and get off, in my head I was thinking Forpure.
Yeah, but I think that almost goes a step beyond the whole breweries working in collaboration.
Yeah.
That's breweries working in partnership now.
That's a partnership because this is a business decision on both parts to do it, but it sounds from the outside looking in perfect. The beer doesn't have to travel far.
Yeah.
The canning line at Forpure is about a year old, I think, the newest one. Or a year and a half. I think that's excellent.
And Forpure have been doing cans for a long time now.
Yes, Forpure have a lot of experience.
So they know how to do it.
Yeah, and I don't think with Forpure personally, I've had an under-conditioned or under-carbonated can from them. So forgetting about what the actual type of beer they're putting in the cans, and personally I like Forpure, but conditioning wise I haven't had any problems with Forpure cans. So that's really is.
So it's great news. I mean, I would say the one thing that
is the numbers still bothering you?
The numbers are really bothering me because you've laid out your whole brand on this series of numbers,
but in bottles.
This
is a can.
I still want to see it on the can. It's still one of their beers.
I still think you can do it differently with the can.
I don't know.
I think the design of the can looks nice.
Well, you know what? I'm going to their birthday party on Friday, so I'm going to try and grab Chris and ask him
why they dropped the numbers.
Where the fuck are the numbers?
I don't care as long as he's got it on Untapped.
Well, and hopefully I'll have some feedback next week as to whether the numbers are coming back or not.
Almost live feedback.
Yes, yeah.
But no, I think that is really interesting news, and it was definitely what sparked us doing this poll for this week.
It was, and I think again it's interesting because we've had a lot of votes on this one.
Yep.
As well, and we had some great comments as well from people. So let's get into some of those comments because that's what we're about here. Yeah. It's about listener engagement and people getting involved. So first one from JT at our _ metal. No, they need to somehow become more widely available outside their region, i.e. I can quite easily buy beers brewed in Manchester, Yorkshire, Scotland, Tyneside, but not much from further south than Leeds. So what do you think on that one?
Well, I reckon everyone who's in Leeds and going north will go, well, we don't care a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Who wants the beer from down south is what they'll say. I don't know, I suppose, again, that capacity issue will be the same for cans or bottles. Well, the vessel will be irrelevant to the capacity issue anyway, won't it?
Well, yeah, because again, let's go back to I suppose both Brew by Numbers and Twisted Barrel. Brew by Numbers looks like I think it's a 500ml can, and certainly Twisted Barrel 440. Mm-hmm. Both only previously available in 330ml bottles.
Yeah.
So they've had to have produced more beer. Or
to get in the large can. I mean, that's an interesting point actually. I hadn't appreciated it from the picture you've shown us, but the cans were because Renegade last week they've just gone for the traditional 330s.
Yeah.
Which I have to admit sit inside my fridge door a lot more comfortably than the 440s and 500s. They take a bit more adjustment with the shelf space. I think the vessel is probably irrelevant to whether you get your beers further afield. That's that's more your capacity issue in whatever your chosen vessel
and
is.
it's distribution as well, isn't it? It's not just capacity. It's about how you're getting your beers around the country.
Yeah, I mean probably if you are looking for beers outside of your locale, then your online is your best bet in those ones, isn't it?
Yeah. So next up we had from Michael at Obnoxious Beers. Canned beer lasts longer, it's a better traveller, it's more ecologically friendly, glass is traditional usage and we're used to it. Canning is not only economically better, but it's far better for the environment. I mean, this is all stuff that we know, isn't it? And this is stuff that we've covered off before. And I'm not sure how many breweries have actually come out and said these are specifically the reasons why we're canning.
No, I think when people get asked, they often cite it as part of their rationale. And obviously a can does weigh a lot less. we're both big advocates of train beers, and those train beers probably take the form of cans these days. But whether it sort of ticks the box of it, you need to have it in a can for those reasons. I think it's a very good point from Michael, but I'm not sure it's relevant to the reason why people do it. I'm not sure it's relevant to often why people pick them up either.
Yeah. So next up we had from Roland Glue at Has Been New Boy. Voted no, but realised this might be the last shreds of beery optimism rather than realism about a fad-driven marketplace. Also depends on if the game is brand awareness or making money. Not sure those always go together.
I would say those. If we could take his last point, they probably do go together. I mean, if you're going for brand awareness, it's a business. You're trying to make money, aren't you?
Yeah.
But I mean, further to that point, then obviously Roland Glue at Has Been New Boy has a weekly podcast with Has Been, and they review the Beer Bods beers. And one of the beers they did recently was in the can, and they had quite a long discussion about canned beer, didn't they?
They did, yeah. I think it was the Stone Caddy Belgique, wasn't it, that they were drinking, and they were talking about cans and where the marketplace is going with cans.
I mean, I think they were expressing, when you want to have that, but there are certain things that fit well for cans, certain things in bottles. The specials look better in bottles, the ones you're aging, that kind of stuff. Stephen Rowland's Beer podcast, anything between 10 and 20 minutes long, so fairly much the same length of time it takes me and Steve to do the news usually. It's well worth a listen every now and again, regardless of whether you get the Beer Bods beers or not. So well worth listening to that one.
Just to hear them disagreeing sometimes, like they did last week.
They were definitely disagreeing on the Canada sheet, didn't they?
Yeah. We'll put a link to that show in the notes actually, because I think, like I say, it does link quite nicely to what we're talking about tonight, and also having been to Stone recently, some of their discussion, I was really interested in what they were saying about the brewery as well. So it's worth giving that a listen.
Definitely.
Before we go any further, final thoughts on what's it called? Peach of the Weekend?
Yeah, I didn't mind it actually. I mean, having declared my not so much love for peach at the start, it was alright. I mean, I preferred it to the cherry and banana.
I much preferred it to the cherry and banana. It was undeniably peachy.
Yes.
Did almost start reminding me of peach flavoured squash towards the end.
I've never tried peach flavoured squash. I said my main thing with peaches is does it come out of a tin, and it did remind me.
That came out of a tin.
It did come out. Actually, it's a good point. It did come out of a tin.
Yeah.
But it didn't go with my trifle. So, but I enjoyed it. It was good.
Cool. So pretty good so far.
Shall I crack open beer number 3 then?
Yes. What's this one?
Okay, so breakfast at Scili's. Cloudy lemon IPA coming in at 5.4%. Now I haven't opened it yet, so in my head I'm thinking like cloudy lemonade.
Well, that's what I'm thinking actually. I'm hoping that's what they've gone for.
Because you've had one of the type of
it
was from.
Omnipollo and Evil Twin did one called Old Fashioned Lemonade IPA earlier on in the year, and it was stunning. It was literally like drinking lemonade.
Okay, well, we'll see what this is like in a second. So, some more comments?
Yep, Si at Leeds Beerwolf. I know whose cans I do and don't trust, but will always try new breweries' beers in a can. Burnt Hill as an example, their Citra Mosaic is on par, if not better than Highwire. Had it yesterday for the first time. So Si there saying he basically would always try a new brewery if it's in a can.
Okay. I've never heard of Burnt Hill.
Neither have I. I think they're fairly new to the scene.
It's a big statement, if not better than Highwire.
Yeah.
So it might be, if I ever do see it, I will probably try it based on what Si has said there actually.
Yeah. And then following on from that, Mark Johnson at Mark N. Johnson. Yep, I should know better, but cans catch my eye on the shelf first. Beers not tried in cans are likely to be picked up. Bottles are chosen more carefully. I hate that is the case, but it is. So yeah, breweries need to work on that.
Interesting comment, and this is from the last 2 comments are from a couple of listeners who are well established in our beer world that we're in, and they're both definitely attracted to cans.
Yeah, it's interesting that as well. But they're both also talking about how they there's almost sort of a trust issue in there as well.
There is definitely a trust thing, and also the cans catching your eye from Mark as well.
Yeah, which we've spoke about previously.
Yeah, we've talked about, and people have said about the real estate on cans, haven't they? Oh, that is lemony.
It is. It's literally like somebody squeezed the whole lemon into that glass.
Okay, and it's definitely lemon on the flavour as well. Okay, for to be fair to them, 3 beers out of 3. What they've said on the side.
It's like a soft lemon sherbet.
Lemon sherbet is where I was going to go with that.
Almost no IPA.
I'm not getting much of the IPA.
Unless stylistic wise, they've gone for the New England style of IPA, sort of low on bitterness, high on.
True, because there's no bitterness.
No,
a little bit of residual dryness, but you'd expect that if lemons have been involved anyway. There's going to be some sort of piffy dryness, isn't there? But
yes. Yeah.
Apart from that, no IPA. But interesting.
Yeah. So we've got some more comments, mate. So John Moore at the Beer Idiot. I say dispense method is entirely down to the brewers. I do think there has been a massive increase in mobile canning to try to stay cool, though.
Ooh.
That last bit's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really follow enough to find out when people are canning whether they've got their own canning. I know that canning can cost much the same as buying an East Anglian brewery, or can cost 10 times that much, depending how much you want to put into it.
Yeah.
And I know that mobile canning perhaps doesn't have the best rep, but again, I've seen mobile canning in action, and I don't know enough about it to know the difference. So, but interesting that John Moore at the Beer Idiot definitely threw in that last bit.
Yeah, which is kind of, that's almost what we were saying in the question, wasn't it? It's is it that you've got, it's almost like that. Have you got to have the latest pair of trainers to be in the game?
Yeah. Now, before we carry on, then, so we always do our opinions either at the start or the finish. Where do you sit? So we've got the question. Twisted Barrel and Brew by Numbers fairly much in very short order have said, okay, our beers are coming in cans now. And yeah, Brew by Numbers probably, because they've been around a bit longer and maybe a little bit better known, but I was actually quite taken aback by both those statements, to be honest, with the pictures on Twitter, stuff on Twitter and pictures on Instagram. What's your opinion?
I mean, undoubtedly, we've seen an influx in cans in the last, definitely the last 6 months, but in the last 12 months, more and more breweries putting their beers into cans. And even this year we've seen some of the bigger boys going into cans. So we've seen Wylam appear in cans for the first time as well. And I think to a certain extent, I actually think breweries do need to put their beers into cans to keep up with the game, because I think that's where the modern market is now. You've got all these wonderfully sculptured, colourful products on a shelf, and let's be honest, I suppose lending itself to what Mark was saying a little bit, kind of their bottled cousins do look a bit old and tired now.
I think there is that too. I mean, we now know that cans in the craft market take up about 25% of sales. So we've always gone full circle, from being able to buy big slabs of cans, and then everyone thinking that if you're walking around drinking a can, you're a bit of a lush, to now cans being very cool, for various reasons. Do you think some breweries then will actually make a point of sort of staying out of cans to give them their point of difference? So forget about how they look. Do you think there are, I mean, in my head I've got three in my head already, but do you reckon there are some who will just say, no, for whatever reason, we're staying in bottles?
Yes, I think there are. And probably like yourself, there's certainly one immediately springs to mind in Thornbridge.
Yeah.
Who have on many occasions said cans just aren't for them.
Yeah. I mean, the other two I had was Buxton and Colonel, just off the top of my head.
I would have said Colonel as well, and probably would have ended up at Buxton. But I'm not sure if I do get the feel that Buxton, out of those three that we've mentioned, I think if you had to put your money on who would be next, it would be Buxton.
Yeah, that's because they have a beer which is a green label, and they know if they put that in a can, Steve, you'll just buy it.
I don't think it is that.
Yeah,
no.
you'll buy all the Axe Edge.
But no, I don't know. I just feel as though that Buxton are on that kind of, almost on that precipice of being lost. I mean, they've recently changed their labels on their bottles, and their labels are different now. So they're no longer the old-fashioned sort of Buxton diamond with.
I don't think the phrase old-fashioned, because that goes back to what Michael said about trad. I mean, just because it's glass and it's got a label which has been around for a while, I don't think it makes it old-fashioned. It makes it distinctive for me.
No, but the old Buxton branding does look quite tired.
Potentially.
Now. And if you look at their new branding, which is more artwork based, name in the corner, details on the back, it almost lends itself to a can. If you look at the new Buxton branding and you could imagine that on a can, I feel as though they're readying themselves for a trialling can.
Okay. I mean, I hadn't really picked up on that myself, but I would agree with you with your sentiment that it feels like you need to have a presence in cans, or you should be looking at it at least. And yes, the three examples, and probably agree with you about Buxton, but I think there are some breweries who just won't, and that's not a problem for me, and they've already got their position in the marketplace. But it does feel that more and more now. If people like, especially like Brew by Numbers, who've been around for coming on for 5 years, it's always been a very distinctive bottle. It's either 330s or 750s for specials. Very distinctive branding with the white label and the black writing, and as you say, the numbering system as well. To go to canning, this has obviously been a bit of time in the planning, especially if you're canning somewhere else. So there's already been a bit of a build up. It does feel like this is the way the market's going at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you like that?
I don't not like it. I don't like possibly the idea that we have to be in a can to be part of the game.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I mean, Brew by Numbers this is 5 years.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's had Brew by Numbers before can say with some confidence that these guys know what they're doing. It's just not like they've rushed into it. I reckon where cans get a bad rap is where people launch with cans and don't get it right.
Yes.
And that's to the detriment of the other breweries who can, and to the marketplace.
Yeah.
So it can put you off, because I've had some shocking cans with a right load of shit at the bottom of the can. You can't see it's there.
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in there because we did have somebody came back with exactly that comment. So Richard Harper at Alarmist UK, too many going too quickly into cans without proper quality checks will have a negative effect, just like bad early craft beer.
Yeah, potentially, because surely a lot of people who go into brewing were home brewers. Home brewers bottle, so home brewers get used to bottling their beer, know how bottles work. Then maybe some cask, maybe some keg. Cans would usually be the last thing, because you can't just can at home. No,
and again, this is exactly what Roland was saying on the podcast, that the volume that you need to be able to, certainly from a mobile canning line point of view, you're having to produce massive volumes of beer, and potentially, if it's not right, it's going to be a massive loss.
Yeah.
So people are putting the beer out regardless.
Because they can't afford to take the hit.
Yeah.
Whereas bottles, you can do a smaller run. So yeah, no, it's definitely an interesting point.
I certainly don't think cans are going anywhere. I think we're going to see more and more cans over the next year.
Yeah, and I think it's a good thing, especially for choice in certain places. I mean, if they're making their way into places which may not have much room for that sort of selection, and they decide, oh, I've got a bit more space in the fridge, or it feels like I've got more space in the fridge because 330 cans fit better, then it probably works. But yeah, doing it too early, not having enough experience, and not necessarily knowing exactly what's going to be the end product, I think can put people off though.
Yeah, agree. Let's just take a couple more comments that link into very much what we've just said there as well. So, Mike Hampshire at Nache 1982, cans are a growing trend, makes sense economically, environmentally and for quality, but I don't think we're close to a tipping point. If I'm an established brewer with a well-known brand in a bottle, I wouldn't be looking to change. Thornbridge's bottling investment comes to mind.
Yeah, which you've seen fairly close order. And does look amazing. It does look like some sort of futuristic lab. And recently I bought another case of Thornbridge beers. And again, I would carry on buying Thornbridge beers but I know the product. But I suppose going back to one of your earlier points and Mark Johnson's, if Thornbridge is on a shelf and a very colourful can or a new can is on the shelf as well, will you be drawn to that can? And also, if you're passing through, you've just got a rucksack on your back.
Potentially, yeah.
You might be able to buy 4 cans versus 2 bottles.
Yeah. And then just the final one from Joe Hill at Multiplex Rant. Of course not. Are Buxton not in the game? Are Lost and Grounded not in the game? Burning Sky, Little Earth Project. Cans are fine, ecological and whatnot. Bottles are more reliable, better for ageing, and more accessible for tiny or new breweries.
Interesting point. On a side note, looking at all these comments, there's not many comments have gone over the 140 characters still.
There's a few there.
There's a few, but do you know what I'm saying? There's like people who've got all these characters, and I thought we might have like some really long tweets and stuff. We don't need encouragement to make the show longer, so don't say that as a challenge. But no, sorry, just as a little tangent.
Yeah, no, it's interesting because my timeline does seem fuller now than previously, but I certainly, when I'm putting stuff out on behalf of the show, I'm still doing my best to kind of, because you don't even get a character count anymore, you get this ridiculous little circle,
little dial.
Yeah, so when it starts getting close to halfway, I know I'm almost at 140.
Yeah.
And I try and start cutting it off there. The only time that it's working really well for us at the moment is when we're actually promoting a show and we've got a few people to tag into that show.
Yeah, or beers from multiple places.
Yeah,
that
allows us to go over what we previously had.
No, it was just a side comment stuff. But I think we had some really, really good comments this week, actually. Really enjoyed reading all of them. Yeah. So thanks to everyone. And sorry, we can never read them all, but we do our best to read them all.
Yeah, we will generally take a selection that's a bit of a cross-section that covers all of the bases. So, thanks to everyone for getting involved this week and every week, really. Any final thoughts on what's it called again?
The breakfast at Scili's, I presume, because they're famous for their lemons and limoncello. Does that originate from Sicily? I've been to Sicily. I should know that, really. The lemon is dialed down a bit the more you go through the glass, I think. I'm just more getting that sort of underlying sweetness, but still getting a really dry finish on it. I think it's really nice. Has it met expectations? Definitely.
Yeah.
Again, do I like it?
That's what it says on the tin.
Do I like it enough to drink lots of it? Probably not. And again, the first 3 beers have probably lent themselves more to a warmer day than we're currently experiencing during the recording. Yeah. And the branding itself feels very sort of summery as well, very bright colours. You would definitely spot the Wild Weather ales.
I think they stand out.
Yeah. And I think when we were when we did the Midland special, when we went to the Wolf, they had a Wild Weather tap takeover.
They did indeed, yeah.
And I think we were drinking that day when we were in there for the hour or so.
Let's take some more views from our listeners.
Let us know, write it down. Let us know, write it down. Let us know your thoughts and bitter and lingerness. Write it down.
So we've had quite a lot of feedback this week, haven't we, mate?
We have, actually. So my very good friend Carl, who's a devout listener of the show, has actually decided to pop up twice in short order.
He doesn't know he only gets one mention though.
Yeah, but he wants me to set the record straight on something, so I'm obliged to do that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Full disclosure, etc. So first of all, finally catching up, and have to say the episodes, Sparklers and crowdfunding, were excellent, very informative yet still humorous. I'm guessing we brought the humour bit rather than the factual bit, to
we
be
do our
honest.
best.
But yes, no, thanks for that, Cole. And again, we enjoyed that one. And although the Sparklers one was released quite a little while ago now, we're still getting some fantastic feedback on that. So again, thanks to the guys at the Victoria Inn. Then Cole also mentioned, he's obviously got quite up to date because he mentioned about the Amsterdam trip where I spoke about having the 80 beers in Amsterdam book with me. Yes, I did transport the book to Amsterdam, and I did transport it back from Amsterdam, but while we were in Amsterdam, Carl did carry it around because he very conveniently wore a jacket which had a pocket, a book-sized pocket. So I did put the book in his pocket and then proceeded to use Untapped to find the venues. So yes, thank you, Carl, for that, and yes, apologies for making you haul it round. Before going any further, what have you just poured, Steve?
This is the last of the beers that we're trying this evening, again from Wild Weather Ales, and this is Skadoosh, third verse dipper, coming in at a measly 11%.
So we've gone 5-ish, 11.
Yes. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, that's a really sort of resinous nose.
Very. Oh, that's
Boom.
that's coming right in, isn't it?
God, that's easy to drink.
That is nice.
That doesn't taste 11%.
No, it doesn't. That's a little bit dangerous, that one. Okay, so carrying on, we had playing catch up on the podcast. I've just reached the episode about sparklers, in brackets, or indeed creamers. It was brilliant, and I learnt loads from it. The Brig at Greyhound 1. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you will know the Brig and what Greyhound 1 stands for.
Oh, okay. It means something.
Greyhound 1 was his sign when he was on like the radio.
Right.
Just listened to the Looking Back show. I too thought that North amongst Dark City was superb, and we will be going again. Can't imagine how you, Steve, did Magic Rock afterwards. Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And that's from John Rogers at JM Rogers 2000. Wow, late listening to the Beer O'Clock show after being off work yesterday and heard my opinions tweet read out. Bucket list ticked. And that's from World Beer Review at World Beer Review. We aim to please.
We do indeed, yes.
So yeah, I'm glad you're listening, glad you're catching up.
And gets a second mention now.
Yeah,
so.
and I hope you weren't off work for anything bad. That we weren't ill or anything. Great show. Would be interesting to know about Sam Smith's beer's efforts in the USA. In many cases, they are indeed the sole representative of good British beer on the store shelf, as you saw. And that's from Mark Crilly at Mark Crilly. So I think that must be a reference to when we did the Looking Back show.
From the back of your comments,
my comments
it? Yeah.
when I was in Arizona. And I can only say that, yeah, they were consistently available in either the bottle shops or the supermarkets for Sam Smith's beer. So hats off to however they do it. And not that badly priced for a fairly decent length of travel as well. So yeah, it would be quite interesting actually, but I mean, you don't really see much from Sam Smith on social media, do you?
No, you don't. They don't really engage.
So it'd be quite nice if they sort of
yeah.
picked up on it, but I don't think they do really. Couldn't agree more with this week's idea of wasting dead calories on awful beers. I'm dreading the nights out on awful beer, hoping to find bottles of punk or something else vaguely decent. I'll even pay the ridiculous premium. If not, wine. Mark at Kel Fired. So that's obviously in relation to last week's. You know, we're coming into season to be jolly, but does that mean not necessarily having the drinks you want? And I think I mentioned a bit about wasting dead calories, didn't I?
You did indeed.
I'd be the same as him. You know, the fact that punk does get into quite a lot of places now does give you a bit of hope that you may be able to spot that blue label.
I'm still really hesitant to do that though.
Why?
Well, because one, I'm adverse to paying the premium on it when you can buy it for less than £2 a bottle in Tesco's.
Yeah, but if you're in a place where you're hoping to find something, you're paying a premium for everything.
Yeah, but and secondly, you've got no idea how long that bottle's been sat in that fridge.
No, but I still reckon you'll still get enough out of it, but it's still going to be better than some macro.
So a bad punk is still better than
No, I didn't say
the best
bad, did I?
macro.
I might have better get it fresh.
An old punk.
Older than I might usually have at home. Would probably still be better than having macro for me.
I'm not so sure. But then at this time of the year, if I'm out in bars and I'm in places not of my choosing, I'm generally just finding the quickest method to get from A to B.
Oh, no, I'm the same. I was out on Saturday night and Peroni was in a bucket, which was about 5 yards away from where I was standing. So I had Peroni. And then I had wine. So I ticked both those boxes. Here and oh look, we've got a comment from number one fan Miles Lambert. Very well done on avoiding the term Belgiany. 3 weeks of saisons are not mentioned once. Good work. Yeah, sorry about that. We didn't mean to actually put it in there, just for the sheer hell of it.
We took the challenge that he laid down on that first week and kept running with it.
Can we just say it wasn't easy?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't the easiest thing we've done. And last but not least, their second shout out has been New Boy, Roland Glue. Opinions catch up. Pretty sure I heard that saisons got stronger during the 20th century in the same way British beers got weaker. Part of the move from farm worker first quencher to cafe bar slower drinker. I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know that either. Nice bit of beer history there.
There's some more facts. For those of you who really enjoy facts, there's another one.
People have been loving facts.
Yeah, not generally from us though.
Maybe we should do more research.
More facts.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And again, if you want to be featured on Bittering Lingers and get in touch with us, #opinions, and we'll pick it up.
That's where we'll find you. Now, also in the last week, we've also had, not necessarily directly to us, some in relation to last week's show, but also some just generally on Twitter because everybody's been drinking them around the Fullers and Friends beers. Mm-hmm. There's been a lot of comments on there, and there seems to be, I don't think I'm being unfair in saying, an overwhelmingly bias towards these beers are a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, which I have to admit, because this is a week on from when we had them, and I have to say I enjoyed every single one of them. We had a case each, which we picked up at, well, I say we picked up, you picked up at the same time when you did your little shopping trip to Waitrose, and I'm really looking forward to sitting down and having all of those again.
I am, yeah.
And I think the one which really stood out for me with various comments I saw was the Cloud Water collaboration with Fuller's, the New England IPA. I'm going to put it out there right now. I really enjoyed it. I think the balance which came from a brewery like Fuller's, because they're still looking to not alienate the Fuller's market, coupled with the innovation of Cloudwater, produced one of the best beers I've had from Cloudwater in quite some time for me. I really, really loved it. But that was the one which seemed to catch my eye with some of the feedback, people going, to sum it up.
Yeah, but and I'm probably with you on that. I enjoyed it, but I suppose if you were drinking it against a pure Cloudwater beer, it's going to have a massive profile, like flavour profile difference. But I just have to. Part of me just has to ask the question: what were people expecting from this box?
Like I said, one half of this was Fuller's.
Yeah. So
these are a big, traditional, regional brewer who, yes, are starting to branch out a bit, starting to do new things. But if you were really expecting, and again, I'm going to use the Cloudwater one because it's so obvious one to use. But if you were expecting a full-on fruity Merc bomb, then where was the Fuller's collaboration bit?
Well, you weren't going to get that from a Fuller's beer.
No.
You were never going to get that from a Fuller's beer. I just think, I don't know, I think maybe some people have gone into it with their expectations really high, and as you say, you've got to bear in mind that half of this box is Fuller's.
Yes.
And what they've brought to the table.
And it's all brewed at Fuller's.
Yeah.
So everyone came to their place of work rather than the other way around.
But I think what the box has done, because undoubtedly it's still all over social media.
Yep.
There's been a lot of it over social media in this past week, and what I think they've done is brought something very exciting to maybe a lot of people that have never actually experienced craft beer.
Mm. And if you haven't tried them yet, then please let us know what you do think of them as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Because we're keen to hear people's views.
Definitely, because like I said, we really enjoyed it, and I agree with Steve. I think the fact that these beers are available, and I think both at price point and once they actually appeared in all the Waitrose stores, then it has made it right. It has made it quite accessible, and people, they may not know Cloudwater, Hard Knot, etc., but they might know Fuller's.
Yeah.
And they might go, oh, Fuller's. They're sitting there beside maybe the Vintage Ale or the Imperial Stout or the Wild River. And they might go, actually, do you know what?
Give that a go.
I might give that a go because it says Fuller's on it.
Yeah. Although, special mention this week to James at Gammon Baron, who ordered a box online, and his local Waitrose did that thing where they replace something that isn't in stock with something similar. And he got sent a 4-pack of Badger Ales instead of the
Oh my God, no.
collab.
So he did the online, because I don't do online shopping very often, but I always tick do not replace.
Yeah. They replaced it with a 4-pack of Badgers.
Ooh! Sorry.
Yes, he was less than pleased.
Oh, I bet he was.
Anyway.
Oh, those expletives.
Yeah. As you said earlier, do let us know your views on that or on anything we've spoken about tonight. Use the hashtag opinions. We will find you and we will feature you on a future show. So, we're at the end.
We are. Well, we're nearly at the end. I mean, I've almost finished my beer.
It's really drinkable for an 11% double IPA.
This is fantastic. I'm loving this. So, Skadoosh, third verse dipper, 11%. Nailed it. This is fantastic. It hasn't got any of that. It's got that. It's quite piney and resinous initially, but it hasn't got that stickiness to it at all, has it?
No, absolutely not.
Bit dry, bit bitter.
I'd like maybe a little bit more bitterness, but then that's me.
Yeah, but no bitterness at the end. I'll quite happily have that, but I wouldn't take anything away from what they've achieved with that as an 11% beer.
Yeah.
Put that again, bang on my head. Is the only way to do a blind tasting anyway. I would have gone 6 to 7 maybe.
6, 7, maybe late 7.
Yeah, but only because I might have tried to overthink it. I think if you just give me a quick taste, I'd go, oh yeah, that's sort of towards the Axe Edge Cannonball range.
Yeah, easily.
Whereas it's easy another 4% on top of that.
Yes, that can become very dangerous.
So what we do next, Steve?
Well, next week is what seems to be becoming an annual show of ours. It's the Hangover Special.
Oh, it's not the post Crimbo Crawl.
Yes. Yeah, so it is the Crimbo Crawl in Sheffield this weekend, and we have decided that once again we're going to record on Sunday morning.
Yes, you lucky listeners.
Yeah, so without a doubt, next week's show will probably be all about Sheffield.
Yeah,
and
there'll be probably no beer involved.
There will be no beer involved.
There'll be tea, coffee, and bacon.
There will certainly be. There's certainly be no poll discussion in next week's show either. So if you do want to get involved in next week's show, you basically just tweet us anything using the hashtag opinions, and we'll probably read it out.
Yeah, and if you are joining us on Saturday for the Crimbo Crawl, there's no guarantee we'll remember what you've told us on Saturday to quote it on Sunday.
Yes, absolutely that.
Full disclosure and disclaimer.
Yes, yeah. So that should be fun. Very much looking forward to that.
The lineup looks good.
Yeah.
The places we're going to, they're really good.
It's going to be a good day.
And it's
a long day.
All new for me as well.
Cool. It's. I think it's going to be a good day. I think we're going to try a good range of beers. Most of all, we're just going to have a lot of fun with a lot of people.
Yeah, really looking forward to it.
I think. So, just a final thank you to Wild Weather for sending over the beers for us to try. I've enjoyed all of those.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Particularly this ridiculously drinkable
11%. Yes.
Double IPA. Until next one, mate.
Cheers.
It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control. And if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pain. And who's gonna make it?